tirzepatide just fooling me, and is it just placebo psychology? Or has my food noise quietened down and my healthy choices increased because there are some real chemical changes happening in my body and mind? These were the questions that I was pondering on this week after a friend and I shared our tirzepatide experiences. Join me as I share what we realized, whether T-Tide is the real deal, and of course my progress stats and the one healthy habit I have re-implemented. I'm the Forest Fairy. Welcome to my corner of the woods where I'm rebuilding, revamping, redesigning a magical life and hopefully inspire you to gather your own fairy dust. Hello everyone, I hope you're having a fabulous week. It's going really well with my weight loss reset, which I kicked off with tirzepatide support for a month or two. But first, if you've been following my midlife health reset, you'll know why I look like I have some dreadful skin disease. As part of the reset, I'm doing a chemotherapy treatment to rid my skin of sun damage and precancerous lesions. I'll link the introduction to this reset somewhere above and below. So the extreme side effects of nausea and constipation, which really threw me in the first week, has disappeared almost completely. I contribute that to two things. My body may have gotten used to the mechanics of tirzepatide, and I lowered my dose slightly. But more about dosage in next week's conversation. I don't have that intense craving for sweet things and carbs anymore, and although I eat a little less at meals and stay sated for much longer, it's not that stuffed, can't move feeling from the first week. However, the one side effect that I do have is that I feel cold all the time. It doesn't seem to be listed as an official T-Tide side effect, but many people do report feeling colder, especially as weight and calorie intake drops. But my weight definitely hasn't dropped so much that this would be the reason. I do generally feel cold quicker than others. It's winter here and my cottage is coldish. Perhaps it's just a combination of everything. But let's get down to the stats. In 3 weeks, I've dropped 3 kilograms, which makes it roughly 1 kilogram per week. I did find weighing too often messed with my mind as it goes up and down. So now I'm limiting myself to every 4 days. Best of all, I can feel the loss in my clothes. My waist has gone from 104 to 99 centimeters and my BMI has dropped from 32 to 31. Small wins, but wins that I'm very satisfied with. But as I said in the beginning of this conversation, a chat with a friend got me thinking about the psychology of weight loss using tirzepatide. From the moment I made the decision to use T-Tide for weight loss, my food noise already began quietening and my motivation went up. And this was before even the first injection. And my friend, her cravings dropped and she's eating and feeling much better. And she hasn't even started yet. Her compound is still sitting in the fridge. It's technically not the placebo effect as there's no substitute involved. Yet it's almost as if the reassurance of backup is coming or backup is in the fridge if I need it calms the brain and lifts some of the pressure. So isn't taking T-Tide just placebo psychology? It makes you feel that you have a hero in your corner. You know the classic arcade game of whack-a-mole, but instead of hitting the mole, T-Tide is whacking the cravings and the food noise over the head if they dare make an appearance. Is it that feeling that drives the success of T-Tide? Well, after much research, I discovered the answer is yes and no. Remember, this isn't medical advice, only my own opinions and conclusions drawn from listening to experts and doing my own research. So yes, because of course there is a psychological side to it. The more successful you are with something, the more inspired you become. Apparently, clinical trials involving placebos show that a portion of the improvements can be linked to expectation and context. However, the true results from GLP-1 and GIP meds go far beyond psychology. Naturally, these two hormones are released after we eat, and medications like T-Tide mimic their effects, and their primary benefits are well established in large clinical trials, reducing appetite, improving glucose control, and supporting weight loss. GLP-1 slows how quickly my food leaves my stomach, which makes me feel full for longer, while also boosting my insulin when my blood sugar rises and lowering excess glucagon. This combination apparently helps prevent the sharp spikes and crashes that often drive my hunger and overeating. GIP, on the other hand, complements GLP-1 by further stimulating the insulin, improving my body's handling of fat, and enhancing energy use. So it's a synergistic effect that doesn't just suppress hunger in the short term, but actually transforms metabolism and hunger signaling. Apparently, brain imaging studies even show changes in the brain's appetite centers. So in my life, this means less food noise, more control over my cravings, and a metabolic and mindset reset. But the thing is, while T-Tide really does change hunger signaling in a profound way, it's still just one piece of my puzzle. The bigger work, the more lasting work after T-Tide comes from me building a health foundation that is uniquely mine. My modus operandi in the past was always to dive in and be gung-ho about it. Not the best strategy. Now I'm layering my habits and approaches slowly, week by week, only choosing that which I can realistically sustain. For me, some of them are walking, fasting, counting calories, weight training, and then a bunch of tweaks. I haven't begun with all of them yet. For you, it may look completely different. Maybe there are 3 square meals instead of fasting, or skipping instead of walking, or carnivore diet instead of plant-based diet, or just a balance of everything. The key is that your basket should uniquely be yours, as well as both challenging and realistic. Things you believe in and can continue long term. I even tier my goals to manage my emotions and expectations. Minimum, momentum, and mastery. For example, when walking and fasting, minimum is 4 days a week, momentum is 5 days a week, and mastery is 6 days a week. That way I can stretch myself without beating myself up when life doesn't go perfectly. And speaking of taking things one step at a time, I've added a few more tweaks to my life. The first, I'm swapping my early morning coffee for warm lemon water. Coffee on an empty stomach is leaving me a bit nauseous before my morning walk. So now I wait until at least 10 o'clock for that first cup. Along with that, I've pared back on my warm drinks overall. 1 coffee mid-morning, maybe a cup of rooibos or black tea in the afternoon. And at night, just half a glass of warm milk with some pink Himalayan salt, a touch of honey and creatine. I've been getting slight muscle cramps at night and have run out of magnesium, so I'm hoping this little cocktail will balance my hydration and electrolytes for the time being. I'll share more about my supplements in another conversation. Another tweak I've brought back to life is apple cider vinegar before dinner. Just a tablespoon in water, drunk with a straw, especially when the meal is heavier in carbs. I first learned about this from Jessie Intaupe. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it correctly. She's the glucose goddess. It also helps with blood sugar control and gut health. She recommends other simple tricks as well, like eating veggies first and then protein and fat, and saving carbs for last. Moving after meals and starting the day with a savory breakfast. Then there's the habit I've re-implemented over the past 2 weeks, fasting. Honestly, I never thought I'd be someone who could fast for such long stretches. But over the years, I've realized it's one of the easiest health hacks to implement and maintain. I like the 16 to 18 hour window most days, although sometimes I do drop back to 14, especially on weekends. There's a lot of differing opinions out there on fasting, but the 2 voices that I've found most balanced and holistic are Dr. Mindy Pels and Dr. Jason Fung. They look beyond just not eating and also focus on what and how you eat when you do eat, which resonates with me. I've added links to their and the Glucose Goddess's websites below. And so there you have it. My progress and plight after 3 weeks of T-Tide. The food noise has gone, I've settled into more healthy rhythms, and the cherry on top, I've lost a few kilos. Let me know in the comments below if you join me with a reset of your own and how it's going. And make sure you don't miss our conversation next week, as I'll be chatting about dosing, especially microdosing. Wishing you a week filled with healthy habits and, of course, sprinklings of fairy dust. Until next time, goodbye